All right, this is the third installation of our pandemic analytics project. We're currently in the reporting phase. A couple of steps we are going to go through for this phase is firstly, we're going to structure the data that involves creating the data definition language step, which is the schema we're going to use, and transferring the data into an SQL database from which we move to the second step, which is generating reports. Here we will use Power BI to create reports. And on to the third stage, which is monitoring and alerts. We need a way to ensure that we have the status of our operations and we can efficiently visualize the metrics in a dynamic environment using dynamic dashboards. So these are the three steps we're going to look at. Let's get started with structuring the data. We'll take a look at the schema in our SSMS. This is where we have created the schema, but we've already run the schema on our data factory. So we're just going to go through the process of creating a new table. Let's go ahead and look at the schema we have. All right, so this schema basically creates our various tables that we have. We create schema initially, the COVID reporting, and then we create schema for each table. That's basically what we have in here. Right here, we have a simple demo schema that we would run and see the instantaneous change in our Azure Data Factory. But before we do that, let's go back to our data factory and just refresh to ensure that we do not currently have this table, this schema table, this demo table. All right, we're going to come over here and refresh what we have. Let's take a look at the tables we have. We currently have these 4 tables. We do not have a demo table. All right, that looks good. Let us go back into our SSMS and go ahead and run this. All right, that completed successfully. That is great. Let us go back to our data factory and see the changes. The demo table was not updated instantaneously. So let's go ahead but we do see that the schema was created in our SSMS. Let's go ahead and view how we all right, we'll take a look at how we transfer the data into our database. For that, we've created 3 pipelines to transfer our data and effectively put them into folders to group them together. So that's the SQLize folder right here for all the pipelines we have. These pipelines have already been triggered, which is why we have the data currently in our database. We can take a look at some of the fields. Here we are reviewing the first, reviewing the count, the number of records we have in this cases and deaths database. We have 16,390. All right, so that is the step for transferring the data into our database. This is the most recent pipeline run for transferring the data, and we can see we have 16,390 rows read, which coincides with the count we have right here for the number of records in our database. And just to iterate that what we have in SSMS is also what we have in Data Factory. We can take a look here and see that the number of columns, the number of rows we have is 16,390. All right, now we're going to load the data into Power BI and view a report that can be created with it. The Power BI reports will be included in the description for the section. We're going to take a look at the monitoring and alerts that we have in place. All right, we're going to start off with alerts. We have an alert here to send a notification if we failed the ingest ECDC pipeline. If that trigger fails, we will send a request. So we've gone ahead and ensure that we will fail that trigger, and we can take a look at the alert that's sent. All right, here we can see that all but one copy activity was successful, and that resulted in the pipeline failing. So let's take a look at the alerts. Here we can see that an alert was sent, an email notification was sent for the trigger that we have over here. All right, that is what we have for the trigger. Now let's go ahead and take a look at monitoring. We know that we can come over here to the dashboard and see an overview of what we have for this particular data factory that we have. We can view our pipeline, view activities, and view triggers, but we should also have a way to view not just a singular data factory, but a coalition of multiple data factories. So we basically want to have a holistic view into the metrics of our data factory. So let's take a look at how we can get a view of that. For that, we can take a look at the log analytics workspace, and over here we have a workbook created that just has some metrics on activity runs, the different types of activities we have here, and the different pipelines that we have running, and also on trigger runs. And this is basically how we can get a holistic overview on the different data factories that we have using the log analytics workspace. All right, that's it for this step. We've taken a look at the reporting step. We looked at three key tasks we achieved to get this step completed. We structured the data, we reported the trends, and we enabled monitoring and alerts. To structure the data, we created the schema and transferred the data into our SQL database from which we could generate reports. And we needed to ensure that we have a view into the status of our operations and a holistic overview into the metrics that we have. For that, we needed to ensure we had monitoring and alerts. That's it for this one. See you in the next one.